quiet Friday evening, boundaries, desire, and secrets. Left alone with his girlfriend's alluring younger sister, Mia, an innocent evening takes a steamy turn. Her teasing smiles, fleeting touches, and dangerously playful words create a tension too thick to ignore. As the air between them crackles with unspoken desire, he's forced to navigate a temptation that could unravel everything. How far can a moment of closeness go before the line is crossed? Watch to feel the heat and uncover what happens next. Welcome to Silent Confessions, where the hidden stories of forbidden desires and unspoken temptations come to light. In today's episode, we explore a tale of fleeting glances, unsaid words, and the electric tension of boundaries stretched too thin. Sit back and let your imagination take you to that moment when the ordinary becomes extraordinary and when the unthinkable seems almost inevitable. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more heart-pounding stories of love, betrayal, and passion. It was a quiet Friday evening, and the gentle warmth of rosemary and thyme enveloped the house, mingling with the golden glow of twilight filtering through the windows. Elena's footsteps echoed down the front porch before she leaned back in and with a reminder, her voice light but certain. "Keep an eye on things while I'm gone," she said, tossing me a quick smile before vanishing into the night. Still, my attention wasn't on her hasty departure. It was on the guest I had been left alone with, Mia. Mia was Elena's younger sister, her opposite in nearly every way. Where Elena was composed and precise, a pillar of steady reliability, Mia was spontaneous and magnetic, exuding a quiet chaos that demanded attention without asking for it. She had arrived earlier that day with all the energy of a summer storm, her presence filling every corner of the house, every vulnerable gap in my focus. Her voice broke through the rhythmic clatter of dishes I'd been attempting to busy myself with. "You seem lost," she teased, her words light but sharp, her eyes sparkling with humor. She stood at the kitchen counter, stirring something in a bowl, her motions fluid, almost hypnotic under the soft glow of the overhead light. Elena's absence should have been calming, unremarkable, simply a short errand. But with Mia standing so close, her youthful charisma radiating with every movement, the room suddenly felt heavier, unsettling even. "Not used to being alone with me?" Mia asked, her voice lilting as if the question itself was a game. My hands faltered over the silverware I was arranging. "Not used to being alone with anyone when Elena's out," I replied, forcing a light chuckle to mask the tension creeping into my chest. Her response, a soft laugh, was intimate in its simplicity. It wrapped around me, made the room seem smaller. She moved with an assurance that felt deliberate but not contrived, as though she comfortably understood her effect on people. Unlike Elena, Mia didn't just occupy space, she commanded it, refocusing every stray glance back toward her. When she brushed past me a moment later to grab an extra glass, her fingers lightly grazed mine. The touch was so fleeting I could almost convince myself it hadn't happened. Almost. My skin still burned from the contact, and it didn't escape her notice. "Did I scare you?" she asked, widening her doe-like eyes as though she were half apologizing, but her lips betrayed her, curved into a smirk that spoke of knowing. "Not at all," I replied hurriedly, the crack in my voice betraying me. That smirk deepened as she let out another melodic laugh. Her presence was intoxicating, her proximity unrelenting. The air between us hummed with something unspoken yet palpable. Every move she made, the angle of her body, the way her scent drifted and lingered, seemed calculated to disarm, even though it was all so natural. "What's it like being with Elena day after day? Doesn't it get boring?" she asked suddenly, her words slipping into the room like shadowy figures. I blinked, surprised at the audacity in her tone. "Elena's amazing," I answered quickly. "We're a great team." Mia tilted her head slightly, her gaze flickering with amusement as she processed my answer. "Interesting," she murmured. "She's always been the perfect one, organized, practical, always in control, almost too perfect." Her words carried an edge, a veiled challenge, as if poking at the wall of loyalty I had carefully constructed around myself. "What do you mean by that?" I asked, warily curious despite my better judgment. "Sometimes perfection can be predictable," she said softly, her voice dipping into a vulnerability that caught me off guard. "And sometimes it's natural to want something different, even if it's just for a fleeting moment." Her words landed softly but powerfully, like distant thunder warning of a coming storm. Every rational thought I clung to weakened under the weight of her meaning. Did she mean me? Herself? Both of us? I wasn't sure, and yet the ambiguity gnawed at me. Mia stepped closer, her movement slow and deliberate. Her shoulder brushed mine. The scent of her perfume layered itself over the rosemary still wafting from the oven. My pulse quickened, and I struggled to focus on the dinner preparations. "You're always so serious," she observed, her voice low and intimate. Her gaze latched onto mine, refusing to let go. "You should relax more." "I'm not tense," I muttered, the tightness in my voice betraying me once again. Her laughter followed, mocking yet somehow warm. "Oh, you are," she whispered, her lips curling into a playful smile. "But I find that fascinating." Before I could respond, Mia grabbed the wine bottle and poured 2 glasses. She handed one to me, her fingers brushing mine again, lingering for just a heartbeat longer this time. "To family," I said, my voice betraying my effort to sound steady. "To family," she echoed, her eyes never leaving mine as she took a slow sip. An electric silence followed, all the air between us thickening with invisible tension. Each glance became heavier, more charged than the last. As the wine warmed me from the inside, I couldn't tell whether it was the alcohol or Mia's very presence that made the room feel as though it were shrinking around us. "What's your secret?" she asked suddenly, breaking the stillness. "My secret?" I stalled, frowning slightly. "How you keep everything between you and Elena so perfect," she elaborated, her voice softer now, as though the answer carried more weight than the words implied. Her head tilted just slightly, her expression unreadable. "Haven't you ever wondered what it'd feel like with someone different?" A lump formed in my throat, my mind scrambling to fill the silence. "That's not something I think about," I replied evenly, though my steadily increasing heartbeat betrayed the facade. "You're a rare one, then," she said, her voice dropping into an almost whisper that felt searingly private. "A faithful man, but even faithful men have thoughts." Her words wrapped around me, far too intimate to be dismissed. Despite myself, I found my voice caught in the net she was weaving. Was she testing boundaries or breaking them? Mia leaned closer. Her breath brushed my skin as she angled herself toward me, the warmth of wine and citrusy perfume creating an intoxicating cloud that enveloped me. My senses were alive to every sound, every movement in the shrinking kitchen. But just as the weight of the moment threatened to topple the fragile balance between us, the front door echoed open. Elena's voice called out, breaking the spell instantly, yanking us both back into sharp reality. Mia pulled away effortlessly, her expression transforming into a bright, carefree smile. "Dinner's ready," she exclaimed, her voice carrying no sign of the storm that had just passed. Elena breezed into the room, her presence familiar and grounding. She kissed my cheek lightly, asking about the progress on dinner, oblivious to the tension that still lingered faintly in the air. I glanced at Mia, whose gaze had softened into something entirely unreadable. She met my eyes only briefly before turning to Elena with a radiant grin. But my own heart remained unsettled, the invisible lines in the room refusing to fade. Every fleeting look, every charged moment had left its mark. And though the evening would carry on in the guise of normalcy, I couldn't unfeel the weight of Mia's words. Sometimes perfection is predictable, and sometimes even the most loyal hearts wonder what it would be like to brush against the edges of forbidden, fleeting desire. And just like that, the line was drawn. But was it truly the end, or just the beginning? What happens when the unspoken remains unresolved? Thank you for watching today's story on Silent Confessions. If this left you wanting more, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Our next tale might just leave you breathless. See you soon.